All Quiet on the Western Front director Edward Berger comes a papal thriller, Conclave, starring Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, and Isabella Rossellini, and an incredibly dramatic, fictional conclave to appoint any pope. As I said earlier, I had very little interest in this film before I saw the trailer, and even the trailer I was like, oh, it looks okay, but it's just... But then I saw it and I was blown away by how much I enjoyed it. I'm stealing this from Twitter, but someone said, this is Mean Girls in the Vatican, and it really is. Marie, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I am someone who is such a slut for cinematography and music, and like a great cinematography and great score. And this movie delivered on both, so I was already pleased in that. Yeah, I went into this not knowing anything about it. So, you recommended it to me, and oh, if like someone recommends me something, I usually don't watch the trailer. So I went in not seeing anything about it and just ready to been like taken for a ride. Uh and yeah, I think it is definitely one of the strongest of the year. It wouldn't like bump off anything from off my personal 10, but it was a very good movie.
What I like about it is, when it starts, obviously you've got Fiennes' character. Fiennes plays Cardinal Lawrence, and he is the guy who's got to basically get everyone together and pick the new one. So when it started, I was like, oh, well, he's not going to be in the running then.
Mhm.
And then he is in the running. And that's what I like is there's a bit in the trailer actually when it's like, you got to beware of the men who want it. You actually want to elect someone who doesn't want it.
Mhm.
And you're just watching it going, okay, that's interesting. And I just love Tucci is like the guy who everyone reckons should be the one to do it. He's the early choice. Then you got Lithgow's Cardinal Tremblay, a Canadian moderate who is just Mr. Shifty from day one. And
Mhm.
then you've got like the real kind of almost right wing traditionalist Cardinal Tedesco,
Mhm.
and of course, and then you've got Cardinal Adeyemi, the Nigerian one. And I love how you've got this kind of world coming together and all the different nationalities, and it just comes together so well. But of course, we then have the film shocker, the little known Mexican Archbishop, Vincent Cardinal
Benitez.
Benitez, was working in Afghanistan, who no one's heard of, but the late Pope decides to push in at the last minute. And I was kind of like, okay, you've dropped something there. I didn't think he was going to win it, though. I was waiting for something. I thought at some point, he was going to reveal something about one of the other ones and take them out of the running. I didn't think it was going to be where the
Yeah,
film gets to.
he was definitely like I like the second like he was introduced, I knew he was like some sort of Chekhov's gun. Like I was just like, okay, there's something here. I also really
Chekhov's
actually
Cardinal.
liked how he got introduced because it's like one of the like more like because it's a quite serious film, but it's one of the more funny moments where like Ray Fiennes' character is being approached and he's like, we have an issue with the Cardinals, and he's like, oh, don't tell me we've lost one already. Immediately thinking someone has died because these are
Oh,
incredibly old men
old.
gathered
Yeah.
together, and I thought that was really like a really funny line. And when they were like, actually no, we've gained one, his confusion was just like, wait, sorry, what do you mean we've just like another cardinal has just rocked up? Like that was like the like one moment of levity in the whole film, but I thought that was really funny. That and one of the cardinals sitting outside and using an iPhone. I also really like that shot.
And it was like prison, wasn't it? They go outside for a smoke and then they have to go back in again.
Yeah, yeah, because they're
Uh,
completely sequestered from the outside world. They're not allowed to like have any outside information, so they're like locked in, and like the entire movie does kind of feel claustrophobic. Like you're in these like which looks like incredibly cold rooms because everything is like marble and black and
and those big shutters come down right at the start of the conclave and then they don't go up
exactly
till the end.
like I've been to the Vatican. Unfortunately, did not get to see the Sistine Chapel. Um,
I
because
did.
I
But the funniest thing about it was when you go in, they tell you it's signed like way beforehand. You are not allowed to take pictures of it. And everyone was there trying to take a picture of it. And what happens is the people in the room who work there start shushing everyone and telling them to be quiet or trying to tell them off. So when you're supposed to be there in this serene moment looking at this masterwork, all you can hear was people getting told off. But the whole time, it was bizarre. I was just like, because I remember we weren't allowed to film, obviously, professionally inside,
Mhm.
but I had a DSLR that shot HD video. So I was getting little bits of video here and there. I thought I'm not going to be stupid and try and get a shot of the Sistine Chapel. And it's amazing how many people asked me, guests were like, did you get a Sistine Chapel? Well, no, because you're not allowed to. Oh, yeah, but I knew you were here professionally working. I went, yeah, but they didn't know I was coming. Like, I literally turned up with, oh, by the way, here's my pass from the ship. Cool. This wasn't sorted out at all. But filming outside was cool, getting all like the big shots of that and getting the guards and all that on camera. But it was a long fucking day going to the Vatican, man. It's a 3 hour bus ride from where the ship docked, one way.
Yeah, we
So I
were
only went there
there on
once.
a school trip, and the teachers did not like account of how long it took there to get there. So we only had like 20 minutes, and the teachers were always so strict. They're like, if you're late, we're gonna leave you behind and stuff like that. So like we were just like, well, I studied this in art history. I'm gonna go see it. And it was so badly signposted that I got lost and then like ran back to like the meeting point with our teachers, and our teachers weren't there because they were of course went to see it, and they just like left us all behind. And they're like, oh, we have to leave at this time promptly. They just completely fucked it up and ignored it, and I was so furious. I was this close, like I was like just like around the corner, but I was just like, fuck, I'm gonna get in trouble, I need to run back. Anyway, I think we should get back to Conclave, but that's my story with the Sistine Chapel.
I mean, yeah, we at least we actually have, yeah, the listener and viewers. We actually have we've actually been there. Well,
I've
kind of.
also been to the Colosseum. I've been twice.
Oh, me being me, I've only been to the Colosseum once, but I snuck a camera and I snuck a tripod into the Colosseum, which you're not allowed to do. But there was a VIP tour from the ship with some like head office people, I think, and I somehow got placed on that one with them because they wanted someone from the ship with them. And so I thought, well, all the small print said you're not allowed to take a tripod in and professional filming, blah blah blah. So I just put the tripod over my shoulder, had my bag, had my camera on top of the tripod, which was my SLR that does video, and no one said anything. So I cut inside and I was like, and no one said anything. So I just kept filming. Of course, you only get about 20 minutes, probably half hour at most there before you move on to the next spot. But I was like, holy shit, I'll have to send to you. Actually, I'll put the video up. I actually filmed the Colosseum, guys. So I will put that video up on our thread sometime. Fred, I've lost track. We're on all the social medias. Some of them. We're on Blue Sky now. Come and see us on Blue Sky, but we'll tell people about that later. Back to the Conclave. Yeah, so let's talk about Isabella Rossellini. Who was brilliant, but didn't really have a lot to do, did she?
She didn't, but that's kind of like the whole point of it, to be honest. Like, even someone like her is overlooked. So, yeah, because it's like, it's the oldest patriarchy in the world. But I also did not know it was Isabella Rossellini. Like, my only, like the only time I saw her was that episode of Friends when Ross hits on her. So when I still like because she's on his list. So when I like looked up the cast for preparation for this episode, I was just like, oh, that's who she is.
Now, as we get as we get more into the film, because you see a bit in the trailer where the window explodes, like, well, what the hell's going to happen there?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a suicide bomber attacks the Vatican. You're just like,
Yes.
what?
Yeah, so that's like another like through line. Like there is like terror attacks happening while this conclave is in place, and obviously because they're cut off from the outside world, they don't really know the context of it. And I don't think we even learn the context of it behind it
No,
either.
I think it is. It's done to give us that scene where, obviously Tedesco. We're getting down to the nitty gritty, and Tedesco you blames it and calls for the church to fight a war against Islam, basically there. And then, of
Yeah.
course, that's when Benitez, Cardinal Benitez stands up and, you know, is more Pope than anyone else by saying, no, violence should not be met with violence. And obviously, he's seen the true cost of war in his time in the Congo, Baghdad, and all that, and Afghanistan. And of course, that speech there is what moves everyone else to vote for him to become
Yeah.
the new Pope. And so you're like, okay, that's a cool film. That's a good story. What was with the little side story about the medical visits?
Yeah. See,
And then
that's
they
like
dropped this on us at the end.
yeah, that's the thing about this movie because like I mean there's so much politicking going around and like Ralph Fiennes' character is trying to navigate all these like threads like that are happening and like trying to suss out like his like in a way competitors, but like I think he was telling the truth. I don't think he ever wanted the position. It's rare to see Ray Fiennes not play a villain. So like him actually playing like a genuine nice guy who just wants the person in charge and like exploring all these like it's the Catholic Church, but there are these different factions of the Catholic Church. Like Stanley Tucci is like character is considered extremely left wing because he wants to give women more agency in the church, and then you've got
You've got the
Spectre
Nigerian guy, Atimi, who's very anti-gay in it as well.
and then Cardinal Tedesco, who's like the
Tedesco,
worst one,
who's,
who's
yeah,
like set up.
the
So
warmonger, yeah.
he's like trying to navigate this, and then suddenly this new cardinal pops up, and now he's trying to figure out, okay, what the is going on with this guy? And like we get like brief snippets of conversation, and with like it's there, but it's like we don't pay too much attention to it because our focus is like mainly on, like, mine was always on Tremblay, on Lithgow's character, because I was just like, something, he seems dodgy, like what's going on here?
I like it every time you got accused of something. It's like, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah,
I'm so disappointed
just
in you personally.
two-faced. Lithgow does like outraged, like comically outraged, so good, even in like a toned down. I mean, that's like was basically his character from Third Rock from the Sun, like
From the Sun,
always like
yeah.
comically outraged. And you can even see it here now. It's like slightly toned down. He does it so well, even when like everyone's standing against him. He's like, no, it's just a lie. Like, how dare you?
At the end with the reveal. So I wasn't 100%. So I'm looking at the Wikipedia for it, and it literally is. Benitez explains he was assigned male at birth, but did not know he had a uterus and ovaries until a recent appendectomy. He then goes on to explain he chose to keep his female organs, cancelling the medical visit, and states, "I am as God made me." And
Yeah,
then
so
obviously Lawrence agrees to keep Benitez's secret, and then he gets elected Pope. Pope
yes.
Innocent.
Pope Innocent, yeah. So it's revealed that he's intersex, which is when you're born with both female and male genitalia.
Okay.
And I mean, I think the entire point, like, yes, it was meant to be a reveal, but it's not meant to be like a shocking reveal how it's like framed. And I think it like ties in beautifully to like the speech that Ray Fiennes gives about faith, like in a world of doubt and chaos. Like if everything was straightforward, we wouldn't need faith, like something along those lines. And that's like kind of the whole point of Benitez. Like he is something new. He is something like the church has not seen before, even though intersex people do exist and are real and are valid. But obviously in the very sheltered world of the Catholic Church, that is something that is, well, they have an issue with gender, which I'm currently like,
Which you'll be able to see in one of your one of Marie's videos.
one of my
quite soon.
recent videos. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed off at the Vatican at this current moment. But but yeah, so it's like this like having faith, and like Benitez like proves that like the faith is earned in him, like because like he's the only one in that mix that does not have an ulterior motive. Like he like gains more support throughout the movie just by being himself, just by talking, and then obviously he gains the big support by the end. And like to us, he's like comes off as an innocent who just wants to play with turtles. Like it's
that came out of nowhere for me. I was like, and also when I first saw it, I wasn't sure what the film was trying to say in the end. That was what kind of was like, well, I think you've kind of summed it up better there than I have, because I didn't really have a clear view, and I was like, well, what are they trying to say by this at the end? That what is the filmmaker's message that he's trying to get across there?
I don't think that is the central message. One thing I did look read an interview with the director, and one thing I really liked that he said about this story is that it can take place anywhere. Like this story can take place in the White House. It can take place in an office building. Like wherever there's a power vacuum, greedy men will like flaunt to it as vultures and try to secure the position. The framing is, because it's based off a book, the framing of choosing a new pope is not essential to the story, which I thought was really interesting. And it's so true. You could reframe it and frame it to be like a presidential election and stuff like that.
I think if they did the same twist with a presidential election, there would be a lot more. Well, but it's funny though, isn't it?
Equally amount of outrage. I mean,
but it's funny because I'm not seeing a lot of people talking about the end of the film being controversial in any way, which I thought you would, and I'm not really seeing anything.
I mean, I have I did see one comment which made me laugh, where they were like, at that reveal I walked out. And I was just like, well, cool, you only had like 5 minutes left of the movie, babe. It's it's that it I know a movie about I did like a video about it, but like
Marie, I'm gonna beep the person's name you say because I don't want to give them any oxygen.
Yeah, no. I mean, but I think one of the main reasons for that is that this is still quite an indie film, and it's not something that a lot of people would gravitate to. So, and so I don't think that's why it's getting so much outrage. Outrage because I don't think
just because it's not big enough.
Exactly, it's not big enough. But then like
wait until the Oscars.
But then at the same time, it's like it's not meant to spark outrage. It's
no.
And It's just
But
because
I think it's just those people who will have that reaction to it.
yeah,
Like
who
you
get
said, that
hung
woman
up
who's like,
on
"Oh, he
gender,
walks
which
out."
yes is like
Yeah.
the current state of the Catholic Church as well.
Do you know that it's going to be interesting because I really hope this goes on. It's definitely going to get nominated for a lot of Oscars. It's definitely going to win some Oscars, and then those type of films get a bump. And this is what I've always said about the Oscars. The Oscars, they aren't to celebrate the best films or the films, and they never celebrate the films that make the most money. They celebrate the more artier films that they want to make more money, and the actors that they want to push more into bigger roles, into franchises. You look at so many best actors; they then go and do big box office franchises after they won for a smaller film. And I think that's what the Oscars are. They are basically, let's promote our smaller films, get them in front of a wider audience, and then all the people engaged on that, we then move over to the bigger films. And that's exactly the cycle of the Oscars generally. Occasionally, like a big film that's made loads of money and will get, like Wicked will probably be one of the ones next year where it gets a bunch of awards and is popular with like the general public. Gladiator maybe as well. So you do get them. Lord of the Rings is probably the best one. And as we know, fantasy, sci-fi, and horror never get nominated generally. Actually, sci-fi probably more than the others because I think, Place Cameron's got nominated back in the day and all those kind of ones. And I'm getting very off point here. Let's wrap it up. Let's get away from the Vatican before, they still let Marie in.
I don't want to be let in. Maybe see the Sistine Chapel because I studied it, but yeah. Releasing some scathing videos currently, so
We needed roads.